Alright, what is going on, guys? This is SSN Santa here, coming at you with a brand new video, and today I'm going to be teaching you guys some tips and tricks that will help you to improve your skill in Fortnite Mobile, so that way you can win some back-to-back solos on your phone or your iPad to impress your friends. I'm also going to be dropping some tips for those of you guys are new to Fortnite, who might be playing on PC or console. You might be able to learn something new from this video, so definitely stick around, guys. And if any of you are new to my channel, welcome, but let's get right into it. So if you guys, like I said, if you learn anything new from this video, definitely drop a like. We're going to be covering a lot of different topics here. We're going to be covering settings, dropping tips, looting tips, moving around the map, taking out kills, and building tips, as well as some other random generic stuff that you guys might want to learn from. So starting off with the setting, as you guys can see, we have a lot of different options. First one's your touch sensitivity. So there's actually 3 different kinds of touch sensitivities that you have. You have your first touch sensitivity, which is your generic sensitivity when you're looking at the third person mode on your screen. I recommend setting this up. There's actually 2 different ways you can set this up. The way that I like to set it up for my devices is if I put my thumb in the middle of the screen and I swipe at a consistent rate of speed to the left or right, I do a full 360. The reason why I like to do this is because that way I don't have to swipe multiple times in order to fully rotate and look around myself to make sure that I'm not going to get shot in the back or somebody's just sneaking up on me. A lot of times people have their sensitivity too low and they might get too comfortable with that, and then it makes it a lot harder in the long run when they have to turn around and they're trying to build, and it just makes it really hard because a lot of times when you're building, this is going to be kind of later on, being able to move in a full 360 definitely makes it a lot easier to build really fast. We're going to be getting that in a moment. Now for the aim down sight sensitivity, guys, this is when you have an M4, a shotgun, or something that doesn't have a scope on it. When you're aiming down sights, it gives you about 2 times or 3 times more visibility ahead of you. So for me, it's almost twice as much as my average touch sensitivity. It may differ for you guys. Whatever you feel is the easiest way to track a target that's right in front of you or across the map. And then the touch scope sensitivity is for stuff like the sniper, the crossbow, or the rifle scope, where you're aiming down sights and you have more of a field of view. So if you're going to be shooting somebody up close, it might make it really hard. So mine's just a bit higher than my aim down sight sensitivity. It makes it easier for it to track. Like I said, that's personal preference. Overall, like I said, I recommend making it so you can do a full 360 if you put your thumb in the middle of the screen and move to the right or left. The other method that you could use is starting off low. Start with a really low sensitivity and build up from there so you can find the perfect one for you. Like I said, it's probably going to be nice if you can do a full 360. Later on, it's going to help you with building and overall just being able to check your back and stuff like that. Now, the next one we have is swap, accept, and back. I'm going to be explaining all these and what you can do. So basically, for a mobile player, you actually want to turn this off. It has nothing to do with this. If you're playing on console, let's say Xbox, if you're in the home menu, if it said press A to select something, you could basically put the swap, accept, and back on, so that instead of pressing A to accept something, you press B to accept something, and then to back off of that option, you press A to back off instead of B. That's all that is. That's all. I'm pretty sure that's what that is. Has nothing to do with in-game, so turn that off. For matchmaking region, guys, you want to put down auto. You don't want to have that on Asia if you live in the United States. Basically, what that is it's your ping, and your ping, if you guys don't know what ping is your internet and how fast it processes with the server. So basically that's measured in milliseconds, and to put this into perspective, guys, milliseconds, there's actually 1,000 milliseconds in 1 second. You know how fast 1 second is? For me, ping right now is actually 30 milliseconds, which is really good. So that means that it only takes 30 milliseconds for me to shoot and for it to process in the game. That's literally a blink of the eye, even faster than that. So you guys should be all set there. If you want, you can move it around to different regions, test out, and see what you like. And the next one is going to be sprint cancel for reload. I turn that off because I just personally like to be able to move. If I was reloading a gun and I were to run by accident, because all there is right now is there's no run button, but if you were to move your joystick at full extent, it's going to make you automatically run. So if I was in a gunfight situation and I was reloading a shotgun or an AR, I would be pretty upset if I accidentally ran and it canceled the reload. I definitely would recommend you guys turning that off. There's just really no reason to have that on. Now, tap to search and interact is really interesting. I like to have that on. It's all up to you guys, depending on how you're able to use your controls and how comfortable you are. If you're not comfortable with your controls yet and you're still trying to learn, I would recommend having that on. That way, if you're near a chest, it just opens it for you. For me personally, I like to be able to just tap on the chest to open it, or tap an ammo crate. It makes it a lot funner that way. For my personal preference, it's just how you play the game, because I know that like when you're playing on PC or console, you have like press F to interact or press X to interact, stuff like that. I just like to have that on. Now for aim assist, guys, I recommend for the newer players, definitely have aim assist on. There is a couple bugs with it so far since the game is in beta, but I would recommend it because at medium to far range gunfights, it's going to help you out if you're using the M4 or guns like that. Even up close with the pump, it can help you out a little bit, or even the TAC. Sometimes it is buggy, like I said, where it kind of aims off to the side of a target, or if you're shooting one guy and then somebody else runs in front of it, it throws off your aim. That's why I don't really like to use it, especially at far ranges. If you're playing squads and there's like 3 people that you're trying to shoot at, you might be trying to get one guy and then it automatically like goes away from where you're aiming at, and that's what I don't like. So I actually personally have that off. I try to play claw the best I can. As you guys know, the HUD at the moment is not the best for claw. Once the custom HUD comes out, I'll have some tips and tricks for setting up your controls. But for me, the way I play, I don't even need aim assist. It just makes it a lot easier for me to have that off. For new players, like I said, I would recommend having it on. Of course, after time, you might find it really annoying if you're not able to get those shots that you could have got without aim assist. And for the more experienced players, I would recommend turning it off. It makes it a lot more fun. It's a better experience for playing on mobile. Now, for reset building choice, guys, I recommend have this off. What that does, I'm going to really quickly explain this, is let's say you were to put a trap down and you were to switch over to a gun and use that for a little bit and switch over to your building materials. It would reset back to the main wall, the first wall, I believe. And I don't really like this because I'm going to show you guys later on when we're talking about building. As you can see in the beginning of the video, if you go back there, I have time increments that you can follow. But for building later on, it makes it really hard in certain situations on mobile to be using the reset building choice. So I recommend you having that off. There's really no need to use that. It makes it easier on PC and stuff, but I don't recommend that. Now, the next one we have is turbo building. I would recommend to turn this off as well. Basically, all that means is if you were to hold down the build button or hold down the tap screen or double tap the tap screen, it's just going to continually build. You won't have to tap in between each build. I personally like to tap in between each build because I can control it better. You don't want to waste your resources by accident by making it just build a ton of stuff and you're moving around and then just starts building this crazy thing that you don't want it to build. It might help you in some situations, but overall, I think turbo building isn't really that useful in my situation. Now, the next one we have is auto material change. All that does is just changes. Let's say you had wood and you ran out of wood, it would go to brick, and then if you ran out of brick, it would go to iron or metal. And the only reason why I don't recommend this, I would turn this off, is because when I'm collecting materials, which we'll talk about building later, like I said, I'll either be using wood in certain situations, brick in certain situations, or metal in certain situations, where I wouldn't want it to switch over if I ran out. If it ran out, it runs out, and then I can switch it myself. I mean, I really don't like having that auto material change. And finally, we have peripheral lighting. I'm not 100% sure what this is. I believe it just means that the lighter colors don't look like toy, like they don't look like a toy. It looks more realistic. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. I'm not really sure what that is. I do recommend having that on. Just it adds to the graphics of the game. Like I said, not 100% sure what this is. All right, now that we're done with settings, guys, we're gonna be moving over to dropping tips. This is gonna be the second topic we're gonna be going over. If you guys want to skip this, you can move over to looting tips. That's the next one we're gonna be covering. If you guys are looking for action and you want to get into the gunfight to train yourself, and you're probably not really looking to get to the end game, I'd recommend going Tilted Towers. You're gonna find a lot of people there. You can get a gun right away, and you can actually end up getting a lot of kills. Along with this, kind of depends on the game mode you go with. A lot of my gameplay that you guys see today is solo squads, where I basically go in by myself versus squads, which is a lot of fun because you're just relying on yourself and you're getting tons of kills. You're knocking people. Solos are fun, but there's just not as much action mid-game. It's only at like the beginning of the game and end game where you're gonna find a lot of action. Most of solo squads you find a lot of action no matter what. For the more dropping tips, like I said, drop in areas where you don't really have to glide over to. I recommend, if let's say you're going into Tilted Towers, you'll notice I'll go into the lower areas of the map, so that way my parachute can open at the lowest altitude. So that means you should probably aim for roads, ditches, canals, or where you see water, because that's most likely where the area of the land where you're dropping, like when you're going straight down, is going to allow your parachute to open at the lowest altitude. And depending on how close you are, it just takes a while to judge, but eventually you'll be able to know exactly when you have to go straight down and go to the closest area to the ground. That way you're not like in a mountain. If you were to drop over a mountain, your parachute's going to open higher. People are going to get to the ground faster than you. You're not going to be able to find any loot, and you'll probably get killed in the end looking for things. One other tip that I could say is just making sure that while you're dropping, you can actually look around. When your parachute opens, just kind of spin around, look to see where people are going. I usually never try to drop in the building where I know somebody else is already going to be headed. A lot of times on Tilted Towers, you can see I just go into like the story below the roof, because everybody goes on the roof. But then if you go in the one below there, you can get the chest, get some stuff there. There's obviously other areas you can drop. I would also recommend trying different spots. So if you've never gone to Salty Springs, try that out. If you've never gone to Greasy Grove, try that out. Pleasant Park's really nice. Retail Road. Just try different areas. Figure out what you like. Figure out like, because you never know, the circle could end up anywhere, so you don't always want to drop at tilted towers. You kind of want to switch up your game style, figure out where the good loot is. So let's move on to looting. So looting, as you guys know, is basically just grabbing materials that you can use in the game. First, of course, is going to be guns. They come in many different ways. So you have uncommon, common, rare, epic, and legendary. The uncommon weapons aren't that bad. They're just the guns that you start out with or mainly find when you're just kind of roaming around. But if you open chests, you're going to find like common or rare guns there. Sometimes even epic or legendary, which are going to be like snipers, the Scar H. There's also like the silenced pistol, which is pretty decent. So you're going to be finding guns like that. And basically throughout the game, you definitely want to be switching them out. So if you have a uncommon M4 and you find a rare M4, definitely switch it out. You just want to keep upgrading your loadout to the best you can possibly get it. Me personally, I like to carry an AR, a scoped AR, or a sniper, and then a shotgun, medkit, and shields. The reason why I'm not really carrying bandages in this situation is because I really prefer the mini shields over everything. Mini shields will give you 25 shields in 2 seconds, so you can only use those up to 50 shields. And they're actually really good because if you think about it this way, it only takes you 4 seconds to pop 2 of them to get you to 50 extra health. And then if you get shotgunned and you hide behind a wall, you can pop another one, and bam, you're back to 50 health again. So if you think about it that way, they can be really good. You can carry up to like 10 of them, I believe, altogether, which is really nice. So you have a lot of extra opportunities in different gunfights where you can just heal up really fast with those rather than the bandages. They take 4 seconds to use and they only give you 15 health. So if you're going to be hiding behind a corner using the bandages, in the long run, the shields are going to help you out better. Even if you were really low on your normal HP, like if you were down to like 1 health, you could still pop mini shields in order to keep yourself at 50 for the shield, and then you could win the gunfight. And then from there, if the enemy is killed, they have a med kit or they have bandages, build a little wall around you and you can re-heal up your normal health and get as many mini shields as you can. So I really like to carry the mini shields in the long run, like I said, because the bandages, they just take up an extra spot. You really don't need them. You're going to be able to find them all around the map. The only times when they're really good is like in storms, obviously, because if you get stuck in the storm, the shields don't help you out at all. You need to be able to have something to bandage you up. But if you're a good enough player where you can move around really fast, get away from the storm, you should be okay. That's the real situation I feel like you would actually need those. So if you are in fear of getting stuck in the storm, you can still carry bandages and mini shields at the same time. But I would recommend just having that extra spot. Instead of being a bandage, you could have like an impulse grenade or a boogie bomb, which I really like, guys. Those are so super fun to play around with, especially the impulse grenades. You might not think they're super good at first, but I've been watching a lot of pros, and what they like to do is they build like ramps, and they'll be in like tilted towers. They'll throw an impulse grenade down and jump, and then they just fly across the map. And I've actually tried to do similar things to that, where I throw it to the ground and I hop and try to get like headshots on enemies. It's super fun. So hopefully I can get some gameplay for you guys like some point in this video, maybe not with using impulse grenades because those are super cool. And then the boogie bombs are also kind of fun because you can make the enemy dance, so those can be very useful like later on in the game. If you're playing against a whole entire team, you can throw one in there and they're just kind of screwed. You can basically just have them all dancing, they're defenseless, and just jump in there and try to shotgun them all. But overall, like I said, mini shields in the long run, bandages, keep those behind. So overall, carrying minis instead of bandages is definitely a really great idea. Also, guys, running over dead bodies will help you to just grab any loose ammo and building supplies that are there. You can also switch out your weapons like I was talking about earlier. You have different rarities of guns. So if you're running around over like a dead body or somebody you just killed, make sure you just run around so it automatically picks up all that ammo and building supplies. And then at that moment, you can take a couple seconds in order to pick up different kinds of guns you'd like to have. Definitely upgrading your weapons from, let's say you have a rare M4, you might want to switch that out for a Scar if you find that. Maybe even picking up an RPG, a shotgun, something different. I like to just, like I was saying, I prefer to carry some kind of a long range gun, like whether it's a sniper or scoped AR is definitely fine for me. And then some kind of an assault rifle with a high fire rate like the M4. The burst, I really stay away from that. I don't really like that as much, but it can be pretty decent up close if it's all you have. And then obviously the pump or the tac. Recently they actually made the tac an uncommon weapon. So if you do find the uncommon tac, I would definitely recommend just switching over to like the rare pump action shotgun, because that one's actually super nice to play around with. Even though it has a slow fire rate, it's just a lot of fun. So hopefully you guys enjoy doing that, obviously. And then finally, making sure that you always are looting out different kinds of building supplies. So obviously, if you see a car, I would definitely recommend just hitting that down, get some extra metal for the end of the game. And then if you're in a building, you can just take some brick out from the walls, stuff like that. I think it gives you like 30 brick per wall. Even the stones that are randomly placed around the map can give you a lot of brick. So if you guys didn't know that. Also, when you're hitting stuff, it has a little blue icon on it. So that way, if you hit that, you actually get extra building supplies, which can be really helpful. And overall, that's for all that you have for looting, guys. Like I said, build up your arsenal of guns, make them better as you can. Look for some of those mini shields, so that way you have some extra opportunities in different kinds of gunfights, and just running over dead bodies in order to grab the ammo, all the good stuff, just swapping out your guns, and you should be good to go, guys. Let's move on to building. Alright, so now we're going to be taking a look at building, which is one of the most important things in Fortnite. It can save your life. It's your main defense. And I'm going to be giving you guys some tips because I know it's really hard on mobile. So stick around with me, guys. This is probably one of the most visited sections. So I hope you guys stick around and learn something new from here. So first of all, you obviously want to be looting out building materials constantly. Be sure to hit those blue targets as well, because when you hit those, you actually obtain more material off of what you're hitting. If I'm running and I'm in the open, I usually set up my build option to be a brick wall. So that way, if I'm being shot at, I can immediately place a wall or two around me, and this is just a really good way to defend yourself. And then right behind that, just build a ramp, and then you're ready to go. You're going to be able to have a head glitch going on there with the third person, so you can see exactly where your enemy is. And then when the time's right, just stick up, try to pop a couple shots off of him. Maybe you can build more to your fort, or you can try to move in closer. If I'm going to be looting out an area like Pleasant Park, for example, I usually will have a wooden ramp selected because it's the weakest material, so you're not really wasting anything. If you were to use, let's say, metal ramps to get around the map, that wouldn't be very efficient. So obviously using wooden ramps is really good, and the way I like to use those is I'll have it ready to go, so that way I can jump on top of the buildings and get in from the roof. That way I can figure out where the chests are. They're usually up there or in the basement, so that's kind of why I like to do that. Basically, you can also use the ramps to get around the map a lot easier if you're going to go over a mountain. Obviously, that's really good. I'll talk about that with more of moving around the map. I also like to collect the metal as much as I can, so that way I can use it from right outside of the base at the end of the game. It takes time to generate health, but it is the strongest material, and then I use wood for the internals of my base because I want to save brick and metal, obviously. So overall, that's just with building. Now let's take a look at moving around the map. Alright, so for moving around the maps, I have a couple neat tips for you guys depending on your different play styles. For me personally, I'm a pretty aggressive player. I like to get kills, as many as I can. So if I'm in the circle, I'm just going to be kind of running around getting kills inside the circle. So let's say I started at Dusty. I'm just going to move out of Dusty as soon as I get as many kills there as I can. I'll probably just head over to the old factory and then make my way to different areas in that like specific point, and then I'll just go to the next circle, stuff like that. And if I'm away from the circle, I'll loot out the area that I'm in, and then I'll just run straight to the circle. That way I'm not going to get stuck in the storm, of course, getting as many kills as I can on the way there. You're definitely going to run into people if you're outside of the circle, because everybody's just going to be kind of rushing in from all different kinds of sides, so keep your eye on that. Obviously, if you guys are really far from the circle, like I said, just run straight at it. Even though you have like a whole entire minute before the storm comes in, it comes in really fast. You won't be able to outrun it at the longest distance. You'll be stuck in it for a while. And it does take away some health, so I would definitely recommend that you guys try to get there as fast as possible. Although if you're on the shorter sides of it, it's going to take a little bit longer to pull in on you, so you can kind of wait it out if you want, and you can run at an angle, pick off anybody that's just coming straight at it, not really paying attention to where you're at. Of course, if you're a more campy kind of player already in the circle, definitely just get as many kills in the area as you can. Build a nice little fort. You can screw around with different kind of methods by building like walls with windows in it, walls with doors in it, putting some traps down, all that good stuff, so you're just ready to go, waiting out people. It's a lot of fun just kind of experimenting with building in this game, especially on mobile, and you'll get a lot better over time. So just kind of playing around with editing is definitely a great idea. If you guys didn't notice, or if you didn't know, what you have to do is if you wanted to edit a wall, you'd have to have the specific wall, you'd have to be looking straight at it, and you'd have to have the wall option selected. If you had the floor option selected or the stair option selected, it wouldn't let you edit a wall. You'd have to edit the stairs. So definitely have that wall option, and then all you have to do is press the middle square and repress the edit option, and it will edit in there for you. That's what I like to do. I usually don't like to have an edited material permanent, so if you place a wall down and then you edit it, it won't permanently keep that option. So if you were to place more walls down, it wouldn't place a window. And then obviously if someone's getting RPGs at you, it's really hard to do on mobile, but a lot of the people on like PC and stuff are able to edit out their base really fast, so the RPG just goes straight through. So that's actually really cool if you can do that on mobile. I'd be very impressed with you. Obviously, moving around the map, like I said, it's very self-explanatory. Just want to be able to keep your eye on the circle. And also, like I forgot to tell you guys, if you're running into a situation where you want to get up on top of a mountain, obviously selecting the stairs and the wooden stairs is a very great idea because they're the weakest material, and you can find wood everywhere, like I said earlier. So it is a good way to just move around the map a lot faster if you want to go upside a mountainside, or if you're descending on a mountainside. You definitely don't want to be using metal for that kind of stuff, because metal is just really hard to get, and you want to use that for your final bases, for the outer layer of your walls. Definitely don't use brick, but if you do run out of wood, it doesn't really matter if you use a little bit of your brick. Definitely fine there. Overall, just making sure that you're just moving around the map at a constant rate, getting into that storm is a great idea. Alright guys, so we are in the final section where I'm going to be talking about how you guys can get more kills overall in Fortnite Mobile. This is going to be like the wrap up where I'm basically just talking about every topic because they really all go into play for how many kills you're going to get. So obviously starting off with different kinds of game modes you can play solos, duos, or squads. Solos are pretty fun, you can get a lot of kills there, but it just depends on how good you are at the start and end of the game. If you're very slow and if you drop in the wrong areas, you're not going to be able to get a lot of kills. I recommend dropping at tilted towers. Like I said, you're going to find a ton of people there. So if you're ambitious, you can get kills. Also playing solo squads is really fun. Basically all you have to do that, guys, is go into squads and select no fill, so that way no randoms come in. Don't let your friends join and get right into the game. And then from there, if you really want to, you can even drop it tilted once again, and you're just going to run into so many teams. Try to get a gun, take them out, knock them, take them out with your like harvesting tools and all that good stuff, and take out a ton of kills. You know, that's where you're going to be finding a ton of kills, because I've seen people get like 30 to 40 kills. That's like the highest I've ever seen people get. Like I said, there's an aim button, you have a crouch button, and shoot button. So all these are pretty essential. If you're really up close, I wouldn't recommend crouching or aiming down sights. You can basically just jump side to side, depending on how you are. If you're using aim assist, it will make it a little bit easier for you to get on target. But you can basically spam. I would probably use a shotgun over like an AR if you're really up close. But if you're using a shotgun, like I said, jump around. That has a nice little burst, so you can get shots on that. You can always pull out an AR and spam that. But if someone's medium to far range, I'd definitely recommend crouching and aiming down sights, because it basically takes your crosshairs and it squeezes them to like the minimum point that you can have it. And basically within those crosshairs is where your bullets are gonna go. Not every gun is directly straight down the center. It's gonna be off to the side a little bit, but anywhere within the crosshairs, and any way you can make it smaller is definitely gonna help you out to be a little bit more accurate. Obviously the guns like the snipers, they have a better crosshair for far range when you're aiming down sights. Like, you have a way better accuracy. The only thing you have to count for is bullet drop, of course. By aiming up a little bit, you kind of have to basically guess and check with that. You know, with the crossbow and the AR, you have to guess and check, because you can see how the bullet travels over a distance, and then of course you have to account for their running, like the directions they're going, how to aim up. So taking out kills can be pretty difficult in the game, but as you can see, for me, if I'm playing solo squads and I'm knocking people, I'm trying to conserve my ammo by just using my harvesting tool in order to take out the rest of the kills if there's nobody around. Obviously, look around for those footsteps. There's going to be little indicators where people are in the area. You can kind of figure out where they are there, take out kills that way. You can even use your hearing as well. If you see people shooting in the distance, there should be a shooting icon, so that can also bring you to a certain location. If you're really far away, I wouldn't recommend trying to go for kills. Try to sneak up on them. The closer you get, the more accurate you are, the better the shots are going to land on people, and it just makes it a lot better. If you do knock somebody, you don't know where the rest of the teams are, I recommend just kind of baiting them, using them as like, you know, having their teammate trying to come and revive them, and then you can take them out. Most of the time I end up just killing them in the end, but sometimes you can bait them. And then there's actually a really nice thing, the bush, guys, I wanted to talk about real fast. It's just a generic tip. The bush, a lot of people think is really bad, but if you're playing solo squads or any kind of solo and you're not really moving around, let's say you put the bush on and you see like a whole squad just moving in, sometimes they don't even notice and they run right by you because the resolution's so bad on mobile, and it's just super overpowered, guys. You can get a lot of sniping kills, really easy kills. On solos, I was using the bush and people were running by me. It was crazy. You can even set up traps as well, like C4, and you can disguise yourself as a bush and just wait until somebody comes up and, you know, blow the C4 up. That's what I like to use the bush for, but that's just a generic tip there. Overall, taking out kills is something you have to learn. With different weapons, they have, you know, different accuracies, different rate of fires, like in different situations. Shotguns up close, ARs at medium to far range, obviously snipers. Pistols are alright. You know, crouching and aiming down sights will help you to minimize that crosshair, but overall, all those together is going to help you out to be better and have fun. So if you guys want to really test your skills with building and just overall getting kills in general, that'll help you out. And then also, obviously, looking for different kinds of weapons. So if you start off with like a pistol, you might feel pretty bad at first, but try to get a couple kills, loot off of other people's bodies, take their ammo, take their building supplies, loot out building supplies, like find supply drops, all that good stuff. Run towards the circle, just run into different areas looking for kills, and then once you get to the end game, hopefully you have enough of building materials where you can build a really nice base, and then you can just kind of camp it out and be really ambitious. Rush in on other people's bases, use your impulse grenades, use your normal grenades, use rocket launchers, go crazy, guys. Then finally, when you're in that last 1v1 gunfight, Make sure you have a nice base built up, let the storm close in on them, pop a couple mini shields, and use your guided missile launcher to take out their base. But overall, guys, hope you did enjoy today's video. I had a lot of fun making this video. It took me at least 5 days. I was trying to do each section the best I could, trying to get some really great gameplay for you guys. So if you did enjoy today's video, definitely drop a like, comment down below any questions you have for me. And if you're new to my channel, guys, subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace out.